We're up in Greenville. We're at Furman University, home of the Paladins, home of the defending Southern Conference champions. And we are going to dive right into things with Coach Clay Hendrix as he's joined us here in the press box as we look out over beautiful Paladin Stadium. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you again. How was your off season as you look back at last season and made your preparations for this season and realize that you're losing a good amount of your top players from last year?
Yeah. Good off season. The summers, I think the older I get, the faster they go. This one went by fast. But we're already into it now. And, last year won't do us a lot of good right now. And so we hadn't talked about it a whole lot. Mm-hmm. We certainly lost a great group of players. I think we're a little bit of an unusual place, and our retention has been so good. We had walk-ons sticking around for 50 years, but I don't know. I think we've recruited really well. I think we've retained really well, and I think our staff does a great job of developing players. And, we still got a pretty veteran group. Now we have a lot of more younger ones who we haven't had to play a lot of young guys, so we've been able to redshirt. That's kind of been a little formula for us, and we got some really talented young guys who just kind of been waiting their turn. So really pleased with prep so far. Mm-hmm. Still got a ways to go, but I'm excited for this group.
Well, look, Furman always has a target on his back. Southern Conference play maybe bigger this year because you're the defending champions. Everybody's going to be dialed up for you guys when you show up on the schedule.
I think somebody was asking me about our rivals. I said, well, I've been around so long off and on in this league. We had a lot of different rivals.
Yeah.
It was kind of who the better teams were at that time. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're everybody's rival. I think we get everybody's best shot, which is okay. It's fun to be in that kind of environment. And, we had a chance to win our 15th conference championship. And, that's what we're about, is playing for championships. And, we aren't a championship team now, but that's our goal, to try to do the things that are going to give us a chance to go compete, play for a championship, and I certainly feel like we can do that. I think our league's really pretty wide open. There's certainly – you always look for teams to have quarterbacks coming back, and a couple good teams do. But I think it'll be – you go through the schedule in the last 2 years, we've had a pretty good run, and just – they're all tough. Even the team just said, well, that team wasn't very good, or that team wasn't – yeah, and we fought we fought like crazy to get a win, and it'll be like that again.
Well – you lose your quarterback, Tyler Huff, who was pretty special.
Yeah.
Did a lot of great things. So what's it looking like as you came out of spring and now you're here in the preseason camp? Have you settled on anybody, or is there still competition going on?
Well, it's interesting about Tyler. So, we were sitting here 2 years ago. Nobody knew who Tyler Huff was.
Correct.
He played at Presbyterian College and coming off of an ACL, missed a year and a half, and and then we can't replace Tyler Huff. So Tyler, heck of a player. I'm glad we had him. I don't think he ever lost a Southern Conference game when he was the quarterback. And, he missed the better part of about 3 or 4 games there at the end of the year. He had a young man, Carson Jones, came in, and, we beat Chattanooga in a huge game to win the conference championship with him playing. Tyler went down the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And so he's played in several games. He certainly showed he's very capable. Really, it's kind of a 3-man show right now, I think, him. And then a kid named Trey Hedden, the only really mid-year enrollee we had. We had an early enrollee out of high school. He's from Tampa, Florida. Highly recruited guy that came in January and really talented, has done some great stuff. And then kid Newell Garcia, who we redshirted a year ago, was our third. It's from actually La Mirada, California, of all places. But, so it's those 3. I don't know that we've ever had 3. I know the time that since I've been the head coach here, we feel like you just had truly 3 quality guys.
Yeah. They
were competing. And, it's been through, I told you today was practice number 8. Man, it's we're going to scrimmage pretty good Saturday. And I don't know, in the next week or so, we'll maybe kind of see how it goes. And, are you looking for somebody to distance themselves? Maybe. I don't know. Is there a case where we could play a couple of guys? I don't know. We have 4 non-conference games to start the season. So, I don't think we have any preconceived ideas. We're just going to let it continue to see who, when you start playing 11 on 11, it's a little different going out there in other situations. And you're not tackling them and doing things, but let's see who can move the offense at the best.
What about the running game, which is always an important part of what you like to do offensively, with the offensive line, having to replace guys there? Will it be as stout as it has been in recent years?
Well, you know what? I didn't think we ran the ball as well as we need to a year ago. Now, a lot of things happened. I thought we went from having probably running back maybe the strongest group on our team a year ago. At the end of the year, we were playing with like our fourth guy and had several guys. Just there's some things we can do better up front. We lost a couple of great players up front, some guys that maybe we haven't had. You know what? The way I see it right now, I've been really, really pleased with the offensive line. We still have a pretty, there's four guys that are either in their fourth year or older up there returning now, and we got another young guy in there if we were playing tomorrow. All the backs, with the exception of Dom Roberto, and Dom, had season-ending surgery there at the end of the year, so didn't finish. But, I thought they had a really good day today. I like the way that group's playing. I think we've got as good of a receiving group talent-wise as we've had any time since I've been here. And that maybe goes back even as far as when I was an assistant here. And we've had some great players, but I just think we got some depth. I think the skill set of our quarterbacks is a little different than Tyler. Tyler was probably a run-first guy, and these guys, I just think their ability to stretch the field, I hope helps the run game. And so, there were times later in the year where we got, it was in a phone booth up there, and that's not how we want to play. We want to be balanced, and I think it showed up a little bit, down the stretch, and we weren't quite as good. But no, I've been really pleased with this group and how they worked. I think we got a chance to be really good defensively again, which always gives you a chance.
Sure. So. Do you worry, going back to the offense one more time in the running game, do you worry about replacing the rushing yards that Tyler would give you from that position?
Absolutely. I mean, now I do think we're in a little better position to replace them. I don't really probably want to rely on my quarterback to be the guy. And Tyler, a lot of those weren't, design runs. That was just him. He was going to look and take off. And, it was a little bit limited later in the year and couldn't do quite as much of that. But, I think anytime you got to, our guys now are mobile. They're not Tyler. But also, their skill set's a little different, too. I think they can do some things he didn't do. So I think we'll always try to adapt to what our strengths are over there. And again, I think we've got all those pieces in place. And, Josh, I know you're going to talk to. He's been a great addition. We've had two NFL tight ends back to back. And so we got a pretty good product to sell. A guy that wants to come in here and get his hands on the ball, and I think that will continue to. We had all those guys back with the exception of Mason Pline. So no, it's been kind of a fun August. Just because we got a lot of competition. It's just kind of fun to watch them each day, see who can get better and who can be the guys you can depend on.
Has this team, because you got, so many new starters to put in, has this team developed its own personality yet, like last year's team did?
Well, that last year's team was an unusual year just because of all, we had 6-year and 7-year guys. We don't have those guys. We do have some older guys. That team had a lot of personalities on it, which was a great thing. This group doesn't have quite the, I've said this several times, the meeting rooms are a little quieter, which is sometimes good. I actually told them today after practice, I think one of the things I've appreciated about this older group of kids, and we don't have as many old ones, but, sometimes you get older kids in programs and I've kind of put in my time and
get a little stale.
Played and it's kind of get me to the season. And, there's a little truth in that even as a coach. But this group, man, they work. They just get in there and work, and they're doing a great job bringing the young guys along. And, we've stayed pretty healthy. And so now it's been different, but I really like the way they've responded.
You touched on the defense a little bit. Go a little bit more in depth about what you like about what's coming back on defense and where you think the strength will be.
Well, I think our front seven's got a chance to be really, really good again. We've been really good there. You say this. I think we had 38 sacks, something like that. Well, we in the low 20s returning in the sacks. They weren't the starters. We play. We've had a philosophy there since I came back, we play a lot of guys, and so sometimes we don't have some guys with as many tackles as other teams do. But our kids have bought into that. So we got a bunch of those guys. We redshirted a bunch of guys. I think we have the ability to rush the passer. I think probably one of the question marks coming in a little bit is the youth in the secondary. But man, they're a really talented group, and maybe as deep at corner as we've been. Now some of them are young guys, but man, just watching them practice and watching them drill. Again, it's just been a really good group, and again, that goes back. Our coaches, this is by far the best staff I've ever worked for. And that's kind of how I see it.
Now you've worked for some pretty good staffs.
Well, I have, and but they just do a phenomenal job. Dwayne Vaughn starts with him as the defense coordinator, an aggressive group, and I think we do a lot of good on good. Really all year long, and I think that helps us. And I think we both sides of the ball can challenge the other side with both scheme, a little bit of things. And we're a group that we like to think we're tougher than everybody else. Now that's us thinking that. Yeah. But I'm a big believer too. If you're going to do that and you're going to try to be that way, you better practice that way. And that's how we practice. And I mean we try to be smart, but we got pads on. We're doing some kind of an inside run period. We're going to do it, and our guys take a lot of pride in that. And again, it's a little bit of give and take, trying to service each other and do that. And everybody's got pride, and everybody wants to win. But I think we're all after the same thing.
So you'll open up against Ole Miss down there at the Grove in Oxford. You do own that series lead 1-0.
Yep, I was told
19-24. Hunter Reed tells us that Furman beat Ole Miss in Greenville. 7-2? 7-2. Yeah. So you'll go in there. You'll be the favorites.
Yeah, I guess this is a return game. It just
this
took
is the
a while
return game.
Well,
only took 100 years.
I've never been there. I've been a lot of places. I've never been there, and certainly they've been phenomenal. The last couple of years, and I think they were going to be really good. Then they won the portal lottery, and they paid well, I think, in the off season. So so I mean, these games are booked well in advance, and who knows when that game was booked? How I don't know how they were then.
Well, I think Lane Kiffin said after you beat him in 24, he said it'd be 100 years before he'd play you again. So,
but it's certainly be a huge challenge. Those games are huge challenges, no matter what, just because of the bodies and the dollars and the scholarships and just lots of different things. But it's also something our guys look forward to. We got a proud program, proud tradition. Our kids, we'll prepare well, and I'd be shocked if they don't crank it up and go play as hard as they can and get after it. It won't be. I say this. I don't think they'll be intimidated, but at the end of the day, that's only going to carry so far. You got to be able to go execute and try to get stops. But man, that probably in our world, if you're picking the matchup, that's probably a little tougher matchup just because of really in a little bit of the nature of how they play, especially offensively.
And considering they are a legitimate possibility to win the SEC. They're a legitimate SEC title contender.
But like I said, I don't know when the last time they've won a SEC championship. I imagine it's been a long, long time. Again, our guys are used to playing well and competing and playing for championships, and those. That's just what our program's about, and so it'll be a fun experience, And I've been, I was sitting there trying to think, maybe compare them a little bit. I think at 18, when Clemson, I guess they won the national championship, and I think it was Trevor Lawrence's first game. It's when they had the 4 first-round picks in the defense line, but they weren't nearly as explosive offensively. Yeah, so they hadn't decided to put Trevor in there yet.
That didn't happen until the Georgia Tech game when he took over.
Well, this group is just so explosive offensively. So then what are you going to try to do? You're going to shut them down, or you're going to try to keep up with them? So it's just a little different. I always think these games are so much about when you truly have a chance. And I look back through the history when we've played well. You really felt like you could match up with them. And again, we played really good defense, but that's just a totally different. Yeah, that's a totally different deal.
Well, good luck this season. As always, we thank you for coming over. Hope you have a good, healthy year with everybody, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot to you. And, Paladins will be right there in November with a chance to win another championship. I have that feeling.
Well, that's the plan, and, again, got a lot of work to do, but it'll you blink, it'll be time to go to Oxford, Mississippi, and then we'll be excited to get in Southern Conference play and go see what we can do.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming up and visiting.
Thank you.